welcome to the Only Difference Is You show. We've got Thi Nguyen here, otherwise known as GoGreenDress. And I wonder why they call you a GoGreenDress. I was on your Instagram page, T, and I could not figure out why you named it GoGreenDress. And did I even pronounce your name right? My girlfriend's Vietnamese, so I should probably be more familiar with names. But why don't you educate me? This is the first time we've met, we've spoke. You could introduce yourself. Let me know if I butchered your name.
No, you actually got it correct. Yeah, it's Thi Nguyen.
Okay.
So quite easy. A lot of people want to try to pronounce every single letter in the
Uh-huh.
syllable.
Uh-huh.
But it's like a win-win situation. We joke around about how it's spelled
Yeah.
because you have like six letters and like you only pronounce really three.
Mm-hmm.
Go Green Dress. Yeah, that's something that I kind of started a couple years back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I found this dress at a consignment store and it's made of
Mm-hmm.
100% silk. I
Okay.
thought it was really, really beautiful. And I started taking it with me to random places. And one of
Mm-hmm.
the first trips I took it with me was to Havasupai Falls. Have you
Mm-hmm.
been? It's like a really
What?
beautiful hike in Arizona
Okay. No,
on
no.
an Indian reservation.
All right.
And I kind of just put the dress on, and the background with the dress was just absolutely stunning. And you
Mm-hmm.
couldn't, I mean, all of my pictures are taken of just my back. And the purpose for that is
Mm.
really because I wanted to focus on the surrounding, not
Oh, okay.
necessarily on me.
Okay.
And so the idea behind the Go Green dress is, um, you know, for a female who travels and backpacks and hikes,
Mm-hmm.
it it is really difficult sometimes that you know, people think that you can't do on your own. And
Oh.
I wanna like kind of debunk the idea that yeah, you're a female, you can totally do anything you want on your own if you just put your mind
Mm.
to it. So
Mm.
this dress travels with me around the world. It
Mm.
actually goes with me on crazy hikes I've done recently, and I backpack with it a couple of days into the backcountry, take a picture in the wild, and it showcases really the beauty of nature
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that it's green. And also just the fact
Mm.
that I love nature, so I kind of want to talk about the environment. I want to talk
Mm-hmm.
about positive messages and also just showcase that you can be bold and beautiful and explore
Mm-hmm.
on your own as a female. So that's kind of like the story behind the Go Green Dress.
Well, what an amazing story. I mean, that's just very uplifting, and would love to help you support and spread that message. Where, like, I mean, your photography is beautiful. I'm an amateur photographer, so I just like appreciate pretty looking things when I see them. You say you're like you want to spread the message. You know, women can do things on their own. I mean, are you taking a photographer with you, or like who's like taking these pictures?
You know, I get that question quite often, and the
Yeah.
funny thing is, all of my pictures, with the exception of like maybe a handful, is taken with my Samsung, my phone. And so
What? Come
I
on.
either set it up on a little tripod if I'm by myself, or I frame the shot and ask whoever's with me to take the shot, or
Wow.
I'll ask a total stranger and I'll frame the shot as well. And so, I actually don't know how to do Photoshop. I don't know how to do Lightroom or Adobe or anything like that.
Wow.
And so, majority of my pictures really come out as is, based on the phone itself. Sometimes
Wow.
I do enhance the saturation just a little bit just to
Yeah.
showcase what
Yeah.
the true
Yeah.
color is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But other than that, I don't do anything to it. I don't. One of the questions I get is, did you cut yourself out and put yourself in all these places? And the answer
Wow.
is no.
Wow.
Um, and then I have had situations where I stumble across a photographer and
Yeah.
then they're like, hey, can I take a picture of you as well?
Yeah.
Say absolutely. And then, we share that picture too.
Oh,
So it's
gotcha.
kind of, it would be cool if I could get a photographer with me, but I think for now it's just me in my adventure and my Samsung device and
Yeah.
just running around and doing these pictures.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if T works for Samsung or not, but man, you just sold 1,000 phones, right? What model is? I mean, like I use a Nikon DSLR, and I would be happy if half my pictures came out even nearly as good as those. You know, like.
In the 3 years I've been doing this, I started with the S8
The
So a lot of my
S8.
earlier
All right.
pictures was an S8.
Yeah.
Um, and then I had an S10 Plus,
Mm-hmm.
and I've actually done pictures with a Note 10 Plus as well.
Is that the
So
Note is a whatever the iPad looking thing or
no, the
I
Note
don't know. I don't know.
the,
Yeah.
the Samsung Note 10 Plus is basically a handheld mobile device that
Okay.
has like an S Pen, which
Okay.
basically means that you could use it as a remote click, and you can also write with it on your phone. So.
Well, you might have converted me into Samsung over. I mean, uh, I'm literally using my iPhone 5s, and my girlfriend gave me her hand-me-down iPhone 6 Plus. Then that's my new thing, you know. Like here, I'll show you that. This is my like this is what I'm using. I'm so behind in times. I don't even know. By the time I get there, you know, it's gonna be 2030 or something like that.
Well,
But
the funny thing is like as somebody who backpacks and hikes, it's very important for me to drop weight because I'm a
yeah.
small person. So, a while back, I used to use a DSLR because I used to have a Canon.
Okay.
But then I realized that like carrying around a Canon and then the lens, it's just so much work,
It
and
is.
then
It
when you
takes
try
up
and
just
set
the
it up,
volume, not just the weight, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the weight, the volume, but also like when you try and set it up, you have to find something that can hold that weight as well, whether that is a tree branch or whether
Yeah.
that is, whatever it is. So I realized that our mobile phones now can
Yeah.
take as good of a picture exactly as Amy. So
Mhm.
I kind of just started using the phones,
That's
and
crazy.
it
That's
has been
amazing.
steering
You
me
can
wrong.
get the DSLR quality with that phone. I'm amazed. I was like, I wasn't sure what you wanted to talk about, if you have some cause, if you're like more into your photography, but I just assumed that you're like a hardcore photographer and but it's like wow, that's with the phone. That's really amazing. What about like what you do allows you to travel to all these places? Is it part of your job or
Well, a long time ago, I made a promise to myself that I'm going to explore three new places a year.
okay.
The three new places doesn't have to be in another country or, traveling abroad. It could actually be a town nearby. It could be like a state nearby or whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
And so I kept it as my one of my priorities in life is to actually do that.
Wow.
And a lot of my jobs, whether that is for me working remotely or for me to get to travel for work, I kind of carve out free time if I'm traveling for work, if possible. Of course, that's not always possible, right?
Yeah.
And I take my vacation time really serious. I think a lot of people work, 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 and then
Yeah.
they're like, I need to make that money before
Wow, yeah.
I travel or before I do this, before I do that.
Of
And
course.
I had a lot of people I knew in the past that like worked all their life and then ended up when
Yeah.
they finally retired, they passed away. So they
Oh
never
my
got to
God.
enjoy their money.
Yeah.
Or, people who have always put the vacation behind, and then something major happens and then they can't take it because now they have to like work even more. So
Yeah.
the stress that you put on yourself on trying to, follow society's I don't know, ways of you have to do this, you have to do that. I think
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. It makes us I feel like it shortens our life, and
Of
it it
course.
it
Of
makes
course.
us
Yep.
have gray hair and all that stuff. So, traveling has been something that I'm doing for myself. It's
Mm-hmm.
my self-care,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to get away as much as possible, but I also do it inexpensively. People think,
Mm.
oh, you have a lot of money, you're traveling so much. I'm like, no, not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
I took a trip a couple years back. Excuse me. It
Bless you.
was 3 weeks through Europe, and I spent a total of $650 the entire trip, including airfare. So if you plan it out properly and you travel smart and you don't have to stay in bougie hotels, then you can actually spend less money abroad or like traveling than you would be sitting at home. And I
Wow.
learned that a long time ago. So I always figure ways to work around the finance aspect, and the other issue would be more of the time. So,
Mm-hmm.
figuring out a way where if you work for a corporation, letting them know
Mm-hmm.
that when you're traveling, don't bother me or whatever the
Wow.
case is.
Yeah.
Don't take work with you. So weekend trips are always a great booster as well. So yeah, I mean, that's
Wow.
something that I've done quite often.
I mean, I imagine, I mean, not like a lot of people watch my show, but I imagine like people would feel like hiring you as a travel planner and still have money left over if they hired you, to help. How do we plan a $650? I mean, are you talking about including airfare or no? I mean, like,
Yeah, including
what?
airfare.
Come on. What are
Yeah.
you eating? Like rice patties or like what are
No, I eat well. I think we had this brief text
Oh,
message
yeah,
conversation
yeah. I
where
was gonna ask you
I
about that
I love
too.
to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so eating is definitely, for me when traveling, the wonderful thing about traveling is experiencing new culture, meeting the locals,
Yeah.
living like a local
Yeah.
and
Living
eating
like a
their food,
local. Yeah.
I love I love local food and I love like eating at small mom pop shops versus like the fancy restaurants.
Mm,
Of course, there are
okay.
trips where I'll do the fancy restaurants, but then a
Yeah.
lot of times I'm eating wherever, the grandma's eating or the mom's eating.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and being younger, it is easier to travel by yourself, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also easier to meet people. I feel one of the things about technology now is that we have quick access to many things, but we also remove ourselves from human interaction, which is
Mm-hmm.
really sad.
Yeah.
And that's one of the greatest thing about traveling is you have these human interactions with total strangers. And
Wow.
I've been fortunate enough to travel so much that I have friends all over the world that I still keep in touch
Wow.
with.
Wow.
And thanks to social media, it's so easy to do so.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think traveling is something that everybody should experience if they haven't done so, and really consider making it a part of their life. But hey, there are people out there who never want to leave their home, so can't,
Yeah. I mean, like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of both sides. Like, you've described who I am, the guy that like stuck in a cave, but I want to do all the things that you're doing. How do I get there? And how do I make a 650? I mean, like people are probably you said you were like small and tiny. I mean, they're probably thinking that you're literally that big. If how are you eating 5 times a day and staying under that budget abroad? That's just crazy. And I'm into fitness too, and I did want to mention you did let me know that you eat 5 times a day, and that's something that I've been preaching for a long time. Look, I grew up an overweight kid, and I've found out and I've gone through diets and starvation, and yeah, like if you starve yourself the first half of the day, you're gonna end up making it up at dinner. And so why don't like you kind of let us know how did you come into this? Oh, it's better to eat more often, 5 times a day, and still maintain a good shape.
I've always ate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, growing up, we were poor, but we still had
Mm-hmm.
food on the table. And in between the regular meals, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, whatever you want to call it, we had snacks, or
Mm-hmm.
else, my mom always left food on the counter, so you can eat anytime. There was
Mm-hmm.
none of this like you have to eat at this time.
Mm.
And so I kind of grew up with the mindset that I can pretty much eat anytime I want. And I
Wow.
realized that your metabolism continues to work as long as you're feeding it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to feed it good food. I mean, one of the biggest problem with Americans is that you're eating fast food or eating too much
Mm-hmm.
processed food, and therefore your body doesn't process it the way that it could. So, I eat 5 times a day, sometimes six. I mean, I don't really count
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
lose track. Is that,
Yeah.
I'll eat like big meals and then I'll have a shake here, like a smoothie that I'll make out of vegetables and fruits.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a fruit there. I'll have like some
Mm-hmm.
nuts and some almonds or whatever it is. And so I'm constantly snacking.
Mm-hmm.
My friends always wonder if there's a tapeworm in my stomach or if I have a thyroid problem
Yeah.
because I am small.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that if you put healthy stuff into your
Yeah.
body will digest it. Your body will knows it's not starving
Mm-hmm.
because when you do like one meal a day, and hey, it works for some people. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
like say anything, but
Yeah.
what it is that it goes in starvation mode, thinking
Yeah.
that it will not get the food again, so it holds onto the fat, and it holds onto the food. And so I'm not an expert when it comes to diet or
Yeah.
health in terms of like what what you should or shouldn't eat because I think everybody's body's different.
Yeah.
Like, what I do, maybe somebody else can't replicate it and think that
True.
will work with them, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, for me, I know that I always grew up with lots of vegetables, lots of fruit in my
Uh-huh.
diet, and with Vietnamese food, it's generally quite healthy.
Yeah.
We don't really fry our food. We use a lot of soup. We do a lot of uh, boiled or steamed or very fresh ingredients.
Uh-huh.
And then every single meal has vegetables and every single meal has fruits. And so for me, I know that because I grew up with that diet and I'm
Uh-huh.
putting that into my body, it's more clean. I don't
Mm-hmm.
really eat a lot of fast food. Maybe I'll have In-N-Out burger every now and then.
Yeah.
Um, and making a healthy meal is actually quite easy as long as you know what you like, don't like, and what you enjoy consuming. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that. They're like, hey, this works for me, may not work for everybody. I was gonna ask you, do you have a nutritionist background? But it seems like you kind of just figured it out through experience, and then you can share your own experience, and you qualify that with, hey, it may not work for you. This is what I do, though.
yeah, I think everyone's body is definitely different. Your background, your upbringing, what you grew up with eating,
Mm-hmm.
like some people, they're like, they have to have lots of starch, lots of wheat, and other people, they can't even eat wheat because it
Mm-hmm.
will make them bloated or whatever the case is. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, not everyone's going to have the same metabolism or diet plan, but of course, you're going to have to combine the eating with some form of exercise, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you can't just eat and sit around. I mean, nowadays with COVID, a lot of people
Oh
are
my
sitting
God.
around, which
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I know uh, I kind of gained some weight. You can't tell because you're just meeting me for the first
Same.
time, but
Same here. 15 pounds. Last 4 weeks,
yeah,
15 pounds here. Yeah.
but I can tell based on what I can fit in my closet. And
Mm-hmm.
so, not to say that I'm fat or not, I'm not saying that, but I know that for me, I'm like, oh wow, I put in some handles, like my muffin
Yeah,
top is
yeah,
seriously
yeah,
growing,
yeah. Like
so
everyone's moving less. That's a given,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
So you really have to add the exercise component with the diet to kind of keep that
Hmm.
like in shape body that you want, whatever that may be.
So what are you personally doing on top of, your good dieting and good food practices? What is your I know you mentioned, you hiking, if that's one of the how often, what do you do?
Yeah, so I do hiking and
Okay.
camping and backpacking. Um, I haven't been able to do it quite often in this last month and a half, but I actually did a camping trip in Washington not too long ago,
Uh-huh.
in Colorado and Utah not too long ago,
Okay.
some hikes and stuff like that too, and then some local hikes as well. So, I try to get it in as much as I can, but I can't say that I have a regimen where I'm doing it once a week or anything like that. But I'm always moving. I don't
Yeah.
sit and
Okay.
do a lot.
There we go.
COVID, the funny thing with COVID is that I've watched more television since COVID than
Yeah.
I did in the last 10 years of my life.
What?
And
Wow.
so before that, I was never in front of the TV. I would be running around doing something, or, I'm always doing something. I'm always like
Yeah.
going somewhere. I'm always at an event. I'm doing something. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm constantly moving. And I
Yeah.
think the constant movement is kind of like trying to get your 10,000 steps in, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to that, but, it allows me to kind of like be up and go and go and go.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely COVID has changed a lot of that, but it's not to say, I'm actually happy because it allowed me to kind of sit down, relax,
Mm.
and just
Yeah.
chill.
Yeah.
I watched Friends for the first time during COVID.
Wow, you're late to the
Yeah,
game.
yeah,
That's
I'm super
crazy.
duper late. I mean, I watched like a lot of things for the first time, and people are just like, "Where have you been? Like, have you been in a cave?"
Yeah,
And
almost.
television was really never that
Oh,
important to
wow.
me.
That's
So
awesome.
I just had other things I'd rather be doing than sitting in front of the screen. So
Yeah,
that's
well,
kind of what
that's
it is.
inspiring, especially that, I mean, you interview any fitness buff, and they're like, yeah, I do this hit program and do 1,000 squats a day. You're sitting here like, I go camping and hiking and I walk around. I mean, no, that's so great. That's what I want people to hear, that like there's not just one way, and then you're actually doing something that's fun. Most people hate going to the gym. They hate doing pull-ups, and you're like, yeah, I just walking around, backpacking, hiking, and it's cool. Um, what? Okay, other than Friends, what have you found in your Netflixing? Like, what do you want to like? Wow, like this show. What have you? What's your like top three?
I recently watched The Queen's Gambit, and
Okay.
that was quite amazing.
Now you're ahead of me there. I'm on episode one, so please don't give it away. I
Okay,
just finished
I won't say
episode one. All
anything.
right.
I used to play chess
Okay. Oh
in
wow.
junior
So
high,
that must
and in
have the
fact,
first scene must have been just immediately hooked right there, right?
yeah, I mean, the amazing thing is like I remember learning how to beat somebody in like 4 moves.
Yeah.
And I thought that's so crazy. And then
Yeah.
seeing it on screen and then like
Mm.
kind of it brings back that
Of
memory,
course. Yeah.
because I was in a gifted class, and so
Okay.
we actually had one of the master champ
Yeah.
chess players come to our class and teach
Wow.
us
Wow.
from Europe. And I
Okay.
thought like this is awesome, you know.
Wow.
So the TV show itself I thought was really well made, but also just kind of like the idea behind it and like the whole chess aspect of it. So I thought that was
Yeah.
really, really, really
I,
cool.
I was wondering
And
how it looked to someone that actually plays chess. Like, is it like, or would someone that plays? So from what you just said, it's somewhat accurate, right, to relate
yeah,
to.
it's very accurate with
Okay.
the whole like, you know, you haven't seen it yet, but there's a portion that they do speed chess and it's really
Okay.
cool. And then there's a
Yeah.
portion where they set it up where one person goes around and plays with like 12 different people.
I saw that
We
part.
actually,
Maybe I have seen the second episode where she plays with
yeah,
12 different people in the high school
right.
chess. Yeah.
So we actually did that in our classroom
Oh, cool. So it is
with
like a
this
thing.
person.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like it was eye-opening to kind of, experience it and then see it on screen play out. So that was like I really like that a lot.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing was I've never seen a Korean drama until
Ooh.
COVID.
Okay. Wow.
So a lot of my friends, they're really into it, and
Yeah.
I started watching it, and so now I'm like, maybe I should learn Korean, or maybe I should like start picking up
Wow.
some language because I love
Wow.
the sound of language. I love
Uh-huh.
languages, and so I was like considering like perhaps sitting and learning a new language based on the fact that I was watching that, just to get a better understanding of it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Was it Old
but there
Boy, by the way? What Korean drama is it? Have you seen Old Boy?
uh there's like a lot of more of like the funny romantic,
Oh, okay.
because most of Korean drama is either like a romantic comedy
Yeah.
or they're not really the Korean drama is not really good at fight scenes.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
looks too
Yeah.
fake because you watch like the Chinese dramas,
Yeah.
those are really good
Yeah.
at
We're
fight
we're
scenes.
spoiled with the Chinese people. Yeah. With the fight scenes at least. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Korean dramas are really good at like the whole romantic comedy, and that's
Yeah.
good to watch just because it makes you laugh and gives you all the warm fuzzies, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a genre I'm super familiar with, but am I right in saying that like Koreans are really good at like the painful endings? Like what the like, is that common theme in Korea? I just remember like almost it's almost like I can't remember any specific ones, but they're really good at like okay, both main characters die and that's I'm like, "Whoa, that's like is that a cultural thing or I don't know, maybe just in the couple ones
Uh,
that I saw."
yeah, I mean, there was a couple of them that everybody dies except for one person,
Right?
and that
Yeah,
was kind
so
of
okay,
like
so that
I was
I
like,
mean,
wow, that's kind of intense. But
yeah.
not every single one of them are like that. But after you watch like five,
Mhm.
you can start guessing what's going to happen,
Oh.
and and probably 8 out of 10 times you're probably right with some of your guesses. So,
All right.
but I watch it so that I can have funny random conversations with some of my friends who are very, very, very into it. And I'm also a big comic nerd, so I've been
Okay.
watching a lot of my like comics, like The Flash and stuff like that, just to kind of
Oh, okay.
catch up with what's happening. But I also like my like mysteries and stuff like that too. So,
Uh-huh.
it's just catching up on things that have been around for quite some time, and I've just been way behind, obviously. Like watching Friends for the first time, my friends are
Wow.
thinking, "Are you crazy? You're just seeing it right now for the first time." I was like, "Yeah."
Did you finish the all
I
the seasons or are you still in the middle of it?
No, I started watching it and then I started having on as like a background thing where I can be
Hmm.
doing other things
Yeah,
and still
okay.
watch it. So it's not something that glued to the TV where I'm like, oh, I have to pay attention to what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more of like it's running in the background. So yeah.
Okay. So you had mentioned X-Men. What is your favorite superhero, or what superhero do you identify with?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, I don't know if I have a favorite.
Mm-hmm.
My birthday just recently passed,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the reason why this last month has been a little crazy.
Yeah.
Originally, for this birthday, I was going to throw a superhero villain theme party
Okay.
if COVID wasn't here.
Uh-huh.
And I used to cosplay because I used to go to Comic-Con in
Oh,
San Diego
cool,
every
cool.
year.
Yeah.
I'm from San Diego.
Okay.
And so I have like the cosplay of Wonder Woman. So I was
Okay.
going to dress up as Wonder Woman.
Uh-huh.
I think that they did a really wonderful job on her character,
Okay.
picking the right actress and
Uh-huh.
then just making her that really strong, powerful, but yet there's like a delicacy with her
Okay.
character,
I haven't
which is
seen
really
it. I'm
cool.
just gonna nod my head and agree.
Ah,
Yeah.
you really
Yeah.
you really should see it.
Okay.
But yeah, so I think that that's a great character to have for any female to kind of
Mm. Okay.
look towards.
Okay.
But one year I did dress a Psylocke. I don't know if
Man, I
you
don't
know
know.
who
Man, how come I don't know this? I grew up with X-Men. Well, Psylocke,
Psylocke was
remind me.
brought back with Olivia Munn. You know who Olivia Munn is?
Yeah, I
Do
mean,
you, do you know?
I probably just haven't, I've seen a lot of Netflix things, but some things I just don't get out much. I'm in a cave myself, so what? Yeah,
No
bring me up to
worries.
speed.
Anyways, her character is somebody who has the ability to kind of uh telepathic, like telepathy, basically
Okay.
as well,
Okay.
along with some other abilities. But
Yeah.
you know, it's funny because the year that I dressed up at Surfer Comic Con, I didn't realize that they're going to bring her back into X-Men,
Oh,
and
wow.
she's an old character that they
Okay.
revived.
Okay. I didn't even
So
know. It's like the female Professor X kind of.
in a way, but not as
Yeah.
powerful, obviously.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, so there's just a lot of really cool characters. I mean, if you can have a superpower, I want all the powers just to be, kind of like why not? But
Okay, if you had to pick one, I remember I saw this
I
post
knew you were gonna say
there was
that.
the post in On. Did you answer that? I saw a post in On, and I knew kind of what mine was, so I was like, okay, I had to pick one, and then this is mine. But what would yours be?
Oh, no, I didn't see that post.
Okay.
Wait, what is, you knew which one you were gonna be, so
Well,
what would
well,
be your superpower?
here's the thing. I've been like selfish my whole life up until recently, trying to be. It just kind of a big shift in my life, but not don't. I could talk about that a different day. So mine instantly, because recently I've been. I don't know if you've studied psychology and Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, but there's like archetypes, and I kind of found my archetype was like the wounded healer, and kind of like I'm more of like a shaman, like spiritual healer. So I was like, and you know what, like I have just some personal things in my, like my father passed away from heart disease, and some family members, that we get older, everyone gets cancer. So I was like, I'm a healer. I wish I could just like, oh, heal your cancer, whatever,
Yeah.
make you younger, right? Like I think when we're younger, we're selfish. I want to be invisible, go rob a bank, or I want to be Superman. And then as I'm 37, so as I'm getting older, and people would get sick and die, it's like, well, that's kind of the prevailing thought in my head. Well, like I just wish I could like just eat everyone's cancer, turn you young again, restore your looks. So that was easy for me. I'm like, hey, I know what like my selfish answer would be. Would My selfish answer would be like, oh, freeze time, because I didn't know if I told you, I'm just recently found out I'm slightly autistic, and just life stresses me out. So sometimes if I had my selfish superpower, just want to freeze time, everyone stop. I'm just gonna take a nap, and when I wake back up, I'll unfreeze time. So that's my new selfish superpower. But in my new life, I would like healing ability. And so that's my, my light and my dark side. That's the two superpowers that I would want to have. I can freeze time and then heal people, you know?
I think those are really awesome. I mean, I totally understand what you're saying with regards to like, losing a loved one. My father
Mm-hmm.
actually passed away from cancer as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like, when you have something that major happen to you, you
Mm-hmm.
kind of think about what decisions you've made in your life and like what you should do moving forward, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, I guess for me, if I had to have a superpower, I'm gonna make it selfish and
Yeah.
and I want to time travel.
Time travel.
And I
Yep.
think the reason why I want to tr time travel is
Mm-hmm.
because like I don't know, as
Mm-hmm.
Asian parents, they don't really talk a lot about the history. of the
Mm-hmm.
life that they've been through. And so
They
trying to
don't.
get
Yeah.
information out of my
Yeah.
parents, even before my dad passed away,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
after my dad passed out of my mom, has been
Yeah.
quite challenging. So
Yeah.
I've realized that, like, unlike Americans, they have like a whole family tree and
Yeah.
like all this stuff. And with Asians and Vietnamese, it's just like
Yeah.
I don't know anything. I know like as far back as my grandmother.
Yeah. Kind of same. Yeah.
I don't know like where where this person came from or that
Yeah.
person came from
Yeah.
or what happened to this. So I would love to time travel just to kind of understand all that, and of course
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
to see like what happened, what could be done, and then
Yeah.
maybe I can help prevent it. But of course, you're not supposed to change,
Yeah. Yeah.
outcomes. But whatever, something
Okay.
to that extent, right? I think it would be interesting to kind of gain some knowledge of things that maybe you've forgotten yourself, or maybe
Yeah.
just understanding why certain things the way they are, and perhaps like uh, tweaking it so that you can avoid it moving forward.
I mean, well,
Just
when you
things like
just
that.
said it that way, like just to figure yourself out better, literally maybe going back and looking at as a third person to some traumatic event that maybe you forgot about, and like, oh, that's why I'm this way, you know.
Right.
Um, but no, that's interesting because I always, as I got older and more recently, when I look back at like X-Men and any kind of comic, I'm like, man, like this is like coming out of some guy's head. It's coming out of reality. Like you're, saying you want to time travel, but like you travel in your real life. So time travel is kind of just the extension of your real personality, And then me, I'm not a doctor, but like I feel like I have this spiritual way to heal people, like a shaman almost. And like I want to, I never saw myself as this healer until I kind of looked into archetypes and things. I think I'm that wounded healer, and so like our what we want our comic superpower to be is almost just like exaggerated senses of what we already are in a way. It's kind of interesting that you bring that up. You want to time travel, but you're literally a traveler in your real life, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Is that there are many things that we want in our life,
Mm-hmm.
and there are many things that we're passionate about and that we love and care for. And so, if we continue to live our life in the way that we do, inserting these passions, I think it just becomes our extension throughout, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what choices you make. So,
Mm-hmm. And damn,
yeah.
like these podcast. Well, it's like I haven't even gotten on Spotify. I should just call it a YouTube show. It just sounds cooler when I say podcast. But like you never kind of know where these podcasts are gonna lead. I don't know who I'm gonna get, but we end up like going on some deep topics. And I jump around. That's how my brain works. I actually, because I'll remember a really good question and I try to save it so I don't cut you off in the middle of saying something really awesome. So I want to rewind to some, because I take notes now. If I'm typing, I'm not chatting. I'm like, taking notes, so I don't cut you off. But so one thing that I bolded, I want to know what kind of job or jobs like allows you this lifestyle, or do you just like make demand when I come? If you hire me, you gotta let me take 10 vacations a year, right? Like, so what jobs allow you to do this?
Well, the interesting thing is I was working for Samsung.
Oh, you are
Um,
a paid employee. No, I'm kidding.
no, no,
Okay, I'm
no.
just kidding.
I was doing events for Samsung before
Okay.
COVID happened. So I was traveling 90% of the time prior to COVID.
Uh huh.
I had a team that I was managing on the West Coast. And because of COVID, what ended up happening was the entire department and the entire program got shut down.
Wow.
Because traveling and events are two things that are not going to happen
Yep.
in the foreseeable future,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
So I've actually been fun employed.
Mhm.
And the greatest thing about the fun employment, in a sense, is that it allows me to relax and reset. Traveling 90% of the time for fun is nice,
Mhm.
but traveling 90% of the time for work is like a whole different thing. And
Mm.
then you have like conference calls, you have team meetings, you have team training, and all this stuff, right?
Mhm.
And so when COVID hit and we were furloughed at first, I was
Mhm.
like, oh, this is great. I'm taking a break. And I was hoping it would just last a couple months, a month maybe.
Mhm.
It started lasting a little longer. But the funny thing is, the day that we were informed that we were furloughed was the exact same day that I was informed my app that I'm working on
Ooh.
is going to get move forward, I guess you can say. And I can't talk too much about it because it's still in development stage, but I can
Wow.
share that
Yeah.
it's something that is going to help nonprofits. It's going to help, it's basically an app that will connect individuals and corporations to nonprofits to provide monetary contribution, resources, or volunteer manpower to further their mission, their vision. Aside from my traveling, nonprofit is my other passion.
Wow.
And then cooking is my third passion. So
Cooking? Okay.
cooking and food, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the
Cool.
nonprofit sector is something that I've done since as young as five,
Yeah.
really, and
Wow.
something I've been involved in for quite some time.
Uh-huh.
So I realized that like being an active citizen and being able to give back if you have more than others is something that we should all strive to do, you know. It's really easy to say that, oh, I'll give back when I have time, or
Mm-hmm.
I'll give back when I have money. But if you don't
Mm-hmm.
have money, then maybe you have time, and if you don't have time, maybe you have money,
Mm.
you know, or maybe you have resources.
Mm.
And so all of the organizations out there, they run into the same problem is that they don't have enough people helping them, they don't have enough finances to operate, or they don't have enough resources to do what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the things that I've realized through my many years of being an active participant, being a volunteer, being an advisor, being a board member,
Mm.
and even working with nonprofits. And so that's something that I have been working on these last couple months.
Cool. Well, you
I
made
enjoy
the
it.
best of this entire situation. You're just a very positive. Every negative event, you're like, no, this is a positive event, and that's awesome. And I didn't even know that you had this side hustle nonprofit app going on when you came on. That just you had all these different things to talk. Well, I mean, you obviously can't talk too much about it, but I mean, you've told me enough to kind of I get the idea of what it does. And you have so am I right in saying like you're like the main founder? Maybe you have a couple other partners in it or whatever.
Yeah, I was the one who came up with the idea, and then I pulled one person in to be co-founders, I
Mm-hmm.
guess you can say.
Yeah.
So and then we are hoping to launch it next year
Mm-hmm.
if everything goes well. But
Mm-hmm.
more later next year, not
Mm-hmm.
next year, early next year, more the
Mm-hmm.
later stage. So
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, so I have to work on a couple of prototypes and then see if we can get investors to come in on board and invest. I have a board that I put together. And so, there's just different areas that's working simultaneously, and there's just a lot of moving parts at the
Mm-hmm.
moment.
Well, on that note, let me offer my copywriting services for the cause. I will donate my time, like you said, because I have no
Uh,
money and I have no resources, but writing is my top professional skill. I can't
oh,
write for you
nice.
all day long, but if you want me to, look like obviously you can't tell me the whole thing, but if you just need to silo me and say we need this proofread for this audience or this, like I'm willing to donate as little or as much as I can give for the cause. And so keep that in your back pocket. If you need a master copywriter, that's what I consider myself. I will donate because so I could feel like a better person because I've just been
Oh,
take my whole life, want to give back. Then what a great opportunity. So um,
thank you. I
yeah.
really appreciate that. I mean, the thing is that we will all give at one point in time. It's just depending on what the situation and what's going to happen.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes we need to work on ourselves first. So I
Yeah.
think that's okay. I
Yeah.
don't think that I'm not going to shame anybody who hasn't done
Yeah,
anything,
I will. I
giving.
will shame them. Be like, "What's wrong with you, you selfish bastards?" Oh, I'm just kidding.
But you know what
Yeah,
the thing is that like as a refugee who
yeah,
came over here um and was given a lot from total strangers, I
yeah,
feel like that's something that I want to continue giving back. So,
yeah.
it's really easy to fall into the trap of focusing solely on yourself and forgetting about everyone else around you. But I
Hmm.
think sometimes when you give to something or someone, you actually feel good about it. So in a sense, I'm being selfish by doing that because I'm like, yeah, good
Yeah.
job, team.
I've always because like I'm one of the qualities of autistic people is they overthink things. So I've always like overthought that like if I'm helping an old lady across the street, am I doing it because I'm selfless or I just don't want to feel bad if I don't help her, But whatever, man. It's all about the results. If we're helping people,
Right,
right, we're helping people at
right.
the end of the day, right?
Exactly. Try not to overanalyze every single decision
It's
you
not
make because I
possible. I
think
have this condition called it's just I try, but it happens anyways. Yeah.
yeah, I think like just like what you just said, looking at the outcome, like what is the outcome if I do this? And I think that that's going to help steer you in the direction you feel like you'll need to go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I especially with COVID, there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people who are struggling, not just financially, but physically and mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like that's kind of where I have to stay as positive as possible. And
Mm-hmm.
I have to kind of like think that this too shall pass. We always go through situations and events in our life, but we come out of it stronger. We come out of it learning something. We come out of it like a better person. And we really come out of it realizing like what is our true potential. And so, going back to the whole Go Green Dress thing,
Mm-hmm.
if aside from the pretty pictures, that's what people tell me.
Mm-hmm.
You look, I actually quote like use a lot of quotes.
Mm-hmm.
I do a little bit of writing, and I kind of share like the thought of the day or the thought of that time. And sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
a thought that came because I had a conversation with somebody else, or sometimes it's a thought that came because of something that I was deeply thinking about. And I want to use it as a platform to kind of share positive messages so that people can understand that, hey, you know what, we're all going through the same thing. Um, Maybe not exactly the same, but very similar. And
Mm-hmm.
so you're not alone,
Mm-hmm.
and that there is others out there that understand what you're going through, and it's okay to feel this way.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay to feel alone, or whatever the
Mm-hmm.
case is. Just reach out and
Mm-hmm.
talk to somebody or touch
Mm-hmm.
somebody because there's always somebody there listening. So
Well,
I
it's
think that's kind of
yeah.
what we need to remember.
It's amazing to hear your story because until you share, right? I don't know if there's like this deeper meaning that which you have already shared, right? Which is nothing wrong with the other side is you just very an aesthetic person and you just had this idea to do a green dress, and because now I know and you've explained and the whole you take the picture of the back. It's not something I intuitively noticed the pattern, but now that I know that there's that deeper meaning, it's very meaningful. And then like I'll take the time now and like read the description, and because I know there's like a deep, so I might go back. Originally I'm just like, oh, this is a very pretty page. It's nicely done and it flows well, the green and every. But now I know there's like something behind every single story, and then it all weaves together to tell a much larger story. That's really awesome, and man, I wish like there was an easy way for you, like for someone to just actually get that, because I look at it, I didn't know that. I wish someone could know that without having to interview you for an hour. I mean, is there a link that you click it and it's like, hey, this is the story? I mean, I think that would be really cool, to inspire
Yeah.
just females all over the world, right?
I know, a website. I know. So it's funny because I have so many little projects I'm working on, and I
Mm-hmm.
always get pulled away from something that I should be doing. And when I was working so much that I didn't have time to kind of focus on the Go Green Dress idea and the
Mm-hmm.
whole website. And I was like, all right, I need to do this. So yeah, hopefully in the next couple months,
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a page up
Mm-hmm.
that can kind of just share the story and also perhaps a little
Mm-hmm.
blog. Right now, I don't have that
Mm-hmm.
information up, and that's probably why my page is kind of like just teeter-tottering on a slow growth versus like it could potentially, grow faster.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to add a little bit more. I do want to use like another platform, like a website, to
Mm-hmm.
kind of share the story, to share maybe travel tips, to
Mm-hmm.
share various little things that I do write on my Instagram feed.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that's another project that I'll just have to look forward to
Well,
working
did you
on.
have you already purchased a URL? Is Go Green Dress even available, or
I have it.
okay?
Yeah,
And then
I
have you
just
gone
it's
beyond
sitting
that
on
at
it.
all, or are you just sitting on the URL?
No, I'm just sitting on the
I'll
URL.
tell
Yeah.
you what, I'll consider this podcast as you giving me an hour of your time. It literally takes me about an hour or even less to launch a new WordPress, and I'll give you the hosting for free because I get unlimited space anyway. So,
Really?
in exchange,
That is so sweet.
just point your stuff to my hosting. I'll launch you a new WordPress instance, and then I'll give you admin access, and then you do what you will with it. You can design it yourself or go find a designer. After that, I'm done with it. Okay, I give it to you. All right, you give me an hour of your time, I will do that for you. That's something that I kind of just offer everybody. Nobody really takes me up on it. They're like, whatever, you know. But I mean, you know how valuable that is, right? It's like,
Yeah,
you know, if someone were to charge, I would say $200, you know, because it might take me a couple hours. You asking me questions, so but literally takes
absolutely.
me like, I think I have it down to maybe 15, 20 minutes. I give it boom.
Wow.
Yeah, give you the admin. I'll even give you a good theme, a drag and drop builder. I'll install some free plugins for you. Because like my strength is actually marketing, you know, but of my top marketing skill, it's writing. But like the websites are like, I learned WordPress in the last year, had some of my own projects. And, you know, I tell people it's like, yeah, WordPress is a little bit harder to, a little bit. It's like once you get used to the format, it's just easy. And then, you know, I'll even show you, you know, how to set up the blog and how to do a new blog. And then you can get the design later on, right? And then so
Yeah.
by tomorrow, if you wanted, you could start blogging, and then you know, I'll just help you set it up. And but these website builders like Squarespace, Weebly, Wix, like you end up paying $20 a month, and so a whole year, it's like you think like literally if you have your own WordPress site, you own all that stuff forever, and like hosting is really cheap. So if you were to host it yourself, but you know I offer like it's nothing, you know, because I got the unlimited plan on my account, so it's just like it's really literally nothing for me to add another thing to my account, and then it's just like that's kind of the one of the, like you say, your resources, your time, your money. Well, this is like one of the only things I can offer, and like not a lot of people like even take me up on it. So if you want, that's there too.
Oh,
Um,
I truly appreciate it. And you know, the thing is that don't say that that's the only thing you can offer.
well,
You'll
no, I
realize
exaggerate. Okay, I got a lot to offer. I can,
I
you
was
know,
just gonna say,
yeah.
yeah, you realize how much you'll have like as you kind of look at the list and go down, 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 down. So yeah, you have
So
a lot to offer.
thank you. Okay, yeah. I got a couple other questions, and you know, like when I start these things, like I'm an introvert, and I've, you know, you said you've watched more TV during COVID than the last 10 years. Literally, I've met more people during my podcast than I've talked during the last 10. Not even kidding. Like I'm autistic. I'm an introvert. When I go out, I don't want to talk to people. When I'm sitting in an airplane, I don't want to talk to you, or you don't talk to me. Put my headphones on, please. I'm an introvert. Don't want to meet nobody. And so yeah, the same way as you've watched more TV than last, I've met more people in the last few weeks than the last 10 years. I'm not even kidding. It's crazy.
I
But
think, see, I
yeah.
told you, COVID can do wonderful things. It takes you out of your comfort zone. It allows you to experience things you'll never experience. And so there's just different ways of looking at like what this is doing. Is it slowing us down? Is it speeding us up? Is it allowing us more time with our family? You know,
Hmm.
so there's a lot of things you can focus on that is good, minus all the bad that's coming out of it, right?
Yeah, and so I mean, I mentioned the time because I try to, you know, we're like at 48 minutes, and I try to be consistent and get it. You know, the audience doesn't want to watch a 3 hour
Yeah.
thing, so I always like 1 hour is pretty good. And then I mentioned the fact I'm an introvert. I don't, because I'm like, you know, I get anxiety. I'm like, can we even go longer than 10 minutes? And when we get close to the hour, I'm like, I'm like, oh man. Because I have like a list of like maybe like 100 questions. And if I lose track of, you know, what I want to talk about, I have more things to ask you. So going on that list, I had some, I hope you don't mind. I was on your personal page too in the green trying to find things I might want to ask you.
Mhm.
And then so this is public information on her page. I don't want to get too personal, but I saw a baby. I saw like a poodle. Is this your baby? Is this, you know, like how, if it's your baby, how do you travel with the baby and a poodle? Because I have 3 cats, and we can't go longer than a day or two because we got 3 cats at home. We got to clean the litter box. So how do you work all this in with any responsibilities you may have?
I actually don't have kids.
Okay.
That's my niece that's on
Okay.
the picture. She's just
Okay.
so darn cute. She actually had heart surgery earlier this year,
Oh.
right when COVID hit. And
Uh-huh.
so it's just pictures of her and her cute little outfits and that she's actually gaining weight now that her heart
Oh,
is
okay.
strong again.
Okay.
So, and then I had a dog a long time ago,
Yeah.
but my dog got lost,
Oh.
and I haven't had one since.
How
It's
long
you know
ago
it's
was
kind of
this? Yeah.
2014.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not. My dog passed away earlier this year. I had him for 15 years. I'm not gonna get another one. I can't
Yeah.
deal with. I don't even even like, it's like once you deal with something like that, it's like you don't want to face it again, right? I mean, I don't know if that's
Yeah.
your reason,
It
but
was
yeah, I
it was
relate.
definitely really hard for sure, losing the dog. But I think another thing is what you were saying earlier is that, you can't really travel,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you have a dog.
yeah,
So I think one day when I settle down, maybe
yeah, yeah,
I'll get a dog.
yeah.
But right now I know that it would be very selfish for me to get a dog, knowing that I can't commit 100% of my time to the dog. So
Yeah,
I
no,
just don't do it.
I feel you. This is kind of weird. My dog had diabetes actually. So,
Oh no.
yeah, and then so since it didn't develop. It developed after 5 years. So I mean, for the last 10 years, my dog literally passed away. Right, I think in May. Yeah, so a couple months into COVID. But that being said, like my entire life for as long as I can remember, no, well, the last 10 years, I had to give him insulin shots twice a day, and that was my life. Can't really travel. And then when the vet told me that he had diabetes because he was like skinny, and I'm like, what, does he have a tapeworm or something? Like I don't like I'm feeding him, and like I don't know what's going on. And then when the vet like gave me the diagnosis, it was almost like telling me I had cancer. She was like sat me down like, I got something to tell you. I'm like, is he gonna die? She's like, he has diabetes, and I'm like, and then she was like, well, this means you have to give him insulin shot twice a day and you can't travel. I'm like, well, I'm an introvert. I don't go out anyways. That's not like a death
Yeah.
sentence for me, right? So anyways, my last 10 years has been insulin shot twice a day. I have to consider. And then, like, I have an aunt in my life that if I really have to travel for like a few days, she's willing to. But then, like, he got really aggressive. And like I have a scar on my nose. You probably can't see. Like he literally bit me in the like, cause I don't know what the diabetes does to your brain. You're in a bad. So I'm like the only one that can like give him the shot, cause I know how to hold him down
Mm,
now. And so
yeah.
literally like nobody else can take care of him. Couldn't give him away. Like who wants an old diabetic? And he's been going blind the last year too. So anyways, I kind of relate to like the freedom that not having the responsibilities gives you, because like I almost feel guilty in a way that like I was willing to like just take care of him forever, right? But then he passes away, and then not like I was looking forward to it, but all of a sudden I'm like, well, man, I got literally like 2 or 3 hours in the day more. Like, what do I do with it? And then it's just like a hard kind of feeling to really combine. It's like I'm not glad he's dead, but now that like I have this time, like I didn't realize, because it's like when you take care, whether it's a dog or a family member, you're taking care of them, and it's like you do it, but like at some point it is like you gotta, it's a burden in a way. And it never really felt like a burden because I'm taking care of like a loved one. But then like when it's off my shoulder, you feel this sense of freedom. And I mean, I still have three cats. I can't travel still, but right. But no, a lot of time spent. I don't have to do that. So no, I get it. It's like, well, okay, I'm doing what I want, and when I'm ready to settle down, I'll introduce the responsibility. I mean, like, I guess I'm saying around, but I get it. You wouldn't have to explain it to me, but maybe other people, they don't have these experiences. They're like, I don't really know what you're talking about. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I think like having a pet is like having a kid, you
yeah,
know?
it is. It
You
is.
have to take care of the child and you have to take care of the pet. And any time that you lose one, it's like losing a family member. So
Yeah.
it hits you quite hard. But I think that if I wasn't such a nomad in a
Mhm.
sense, someone who's a jet setter, I would have a pet.
Mhm.
I don't want to be that person who gets a dog and pretends that she's my emotional support dog or he's
Yeah.
my emotional support dog just to take them with me. Because
Yeah.
I think that there are people who actually need that,
Yeah.
and I'm not one of them, so I
Yeah.
shouldn't like do that.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, and I know I'll get a pet again. I just don't know when that will be.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's funny you mentioned that because I got him at like 6 or 7 weeks old in 2005. And I got him from someone that you're just describing, like they got him and thought he was a toy, and then they had to give him away. And that's how I even got him in the first place. I had something else I really wanted to ask you before we run out of time, but
Okay.
tell me about the employee of the month. I don't know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was on your personal page. I was trying to find interesting things to ask you about. And I'm like, that's kind of interesting, but I don't know the backstory because it's just the Instagram picture, right?
Yeah, if you're scrolling through it and not
Yeah,
reading the context, for sure, you're just
yeah,
like, what is this?
yeah.
Like I said, I was working for Samsung,
Uh-huh.
and in my first month with Samsung, I basically got Employee of the Month.
Your first
And
month,
then
and how many other people are considered in this?
it's a national contest.
Come on, man. You're okay. Now that is a story. I didn't even know where you worked or like employee of the month out of like five fast food workers. Like, come on, how hard did you have to try? Like, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we have to know this story. I'm so glad I asked. It's no small feat. I mean, like, how many employees are in Samsung?
In our department, it's not like thousands or anything like that. It's
Okay.
a smaller team.
Okay.
Uh, hmm, I don't remember the number. We're looking at in our team, or now department across the nation, probably like 50 maybe.
Okay. And then in your
So it's
first
not like a
month, how
huge
many,
number.
like you're competing against like veteran, not like you're even trying to
Yeah,
win this award. They just kind of gave it to you based on your work ethic and what you showed.
correct. So what they do is they do a monthly employee of the month,
Yeah.
and then in June they do employee of the quarter or
Yeah.
of the first half, and then in December they do employee of the year, in a sense,
Yeah.
right? So I actually won employee of the month May
Yeah.
in the month of May. I didn't get it for June because I was first half, and then I got
Yeah.
it again in July. So in a sense, I
Wow.
got back-to-back employee of the month.
Damn.
Um, so it was a pretty big thing, and I ended up winning my employee of the quarter as well. So it was kind of one of those things where, if you work hard enough
Yeah.
and your superiors and managers, they see that, they'll reward you for it. And
Wow.
I think that's one of the things that I experienced working for the company and working for the team that I was in. And I came in wanting to work hard, like
Uh-huh.
enjoying the work that I did, and making a lot of contacts and connections. So my work was basically to sponsor events
Sponsor events.
and
Okay.
to find partners and organizations and companies to want us to sponsor their events. And that might sound easy,
Yeah.
but the sponsorship
That's like
was
a really difficult sales job almost, right?
in a sense, yeah.
Yeah.
And the sponsorship is not monetary donation.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
thing. It's just device use, not even
Oh,
device donation. So there's like a three layers to how difficult it could be. Because if you're telling people I'm going to give you free money,
yeah.
they're going to go, yeah, sign me up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you tell people I'm going to give you free products,
Yeah.
sign me up.
Yeah.
But if you're telling people like you don't get free money, you don't get free products, you
Uh-huh.
can just use our products and have the Samsung name. Like that is like a whole nother ballpark.
Yeah.
So, I basically just focus in the areas that I'm familiar with,
Yeah.
which is the nonprofit sector and
Okay.
the social scene in LA, in Southern California, I guess you can
Mm-hmm.
say.
Mm-hmm.
And then started off with people I knew first, and then
Mm-hmm.
from there kind of build my way. So,
Mm.
you know, um, I was basically sponsoring anywhere between 3 to 5 events a week,
Mm-hmm. And then
which
what's average? What are your other coworkers putting up?
once a week, maybe.
Dang. And I mean like so
Yeah.
so like the production is obviously there for you to get the
Yeah.
award. Yeah.
Yeah. The production was there to get the award, but also I shared my knowledge with other people. So what I
There
did
you
was
go.
I
There you go.
I put together how-tos, and I put together various documents that I use, various Excel sheets I use to track everything.
Hmm.
And I shared it with everybody because I don't think it's something that you should keep,
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not you're working in your own market or by yourself, you work as a team because
Mm-hmm.
you're going after the same goal as a company.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was more than happy and willing to share whatever I need to share with people, tell people how I did what I did, gave people some input on what could be done better. I even established national partnerships, which
Mm.
then I shared with
Wow.
individuals in other markets. And so, I think that like when you work in any company, you really should think about not for yourself necessarily. Yes, there is a selfish component,
Mm-hmm.
but you should think about like, how can I better the company's image? What
Mm.
can I do to further the mission and vision that they want in this specific area? And
Mm-hmm.
then kind of go from there.
Well, I mean, you just answered like all my follow-up questions. I was going to be like, well, what advice would you have for somebody in a different industry trying to win their own employee of the month or year? And you pretty much just answered all that. Like, because I've been in real estate, so I've seen like the most selfish side. Everybody, oh, I'm not going to share my secrets, how I get listings and things like that. And I think it's amazing that both like you probably have really high producers that don't give a crap about anybody, and they may not always be winning the awards because you seem like you have smart managers that recognize, well, not only is T producing, but she is a great team player. She's helping her coworkers produce, which is the values that we want to recognize and spread across the company, right? So they're at least aware that they're not just recognizing the top producer that is not sharing with anybody. So, gosh, what great advice that you just gave everybody in any industry on how to move up in the company and just look good to your higher ups. Because I don't think what you just said there, I don't think it's immediately obvious to really anybody. Because what you're used to is just selfishness all around. At least that's kind of I've been in many industries, right? That's all I see. I never see somebody like, hey, I figured out a really good way to do this and increase my sales. I think you should do. Yeah, you never see that. Maybe your manager shares it with you, but not from horizontal, not from your coworkers.
Yeah, I think everyone, it's a tough world out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people feel that like in order for them to be successful, they have to do certain things where they just need to focus on themselves. And it's not
Yeah.
wrong,
Yeah.
but because we don't know what their backstory is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that like if you can do something to make everyone's lives easier, which in a sense can also make your life easier, why not? Um, and it shows that um, I feel that there are people who can work by themselves and do extremely well. There are people who can work in a team and do extremely well, and there are others who can do both.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's always good to try and do both.
Mm-hmm.
You will have moments where you need to hit project deadlines and stuff like that. But why recreate something when you can get help to have something that's already been created,
Mm-hmm.
if possible. And you're right, not everyone is willing to share, but I think that if you were to share, you see that a lot of the projects would be much easier, be completed faster, and you wouldn't have this headache of trying to like be stressed out to meet a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
So
I do know, and I'm gonna put this in the public realm so I don't go back on my word. I've been authoring this marketing book for like 3 years, and by marketing book I mean like in 3 years it's just remained an outline, right? And then I always have had not always, but initially it started with just selfish interests, like oh I know all this about marketing. I'm gonna write this book, sell it for $20, sell it for $1. My goal was just more selfish, and then now I kind of made the decision in the last month. I've been working on it. I'm like, I'm just going to give it away for free when I'm done. It's like 8,000 words now. I was like, well, I think I need it to at least be 20,000 words to actually like release it as a decent ebook. And so, on that note, especially after having this conversation, and especially I'm saying it now, and I don't want to be called a lie, I'm going to give it away for free. I might
that's
sell if
amazing.
I have to put a price on it on Amazon. I'll sell it for $1.50 just so Amazon can make their cut. But yeah, I was gonna just put it on my website and just say, here it is on the web, download it, PDF, and and we did hit our hour, but I still had two short questions. Maybe you can leave
Sure.
the audience with. Um, this are like yes or no. Did you really take a picture of that lion in real life?
Yes.
Oh, what? How did it? Was it like in the
It,
behind
w-
the car or like how close were you?
I was probably not more than 10 feet away.
Wow.
And it was at a safari in South Africa.
Wow, wow. And then 10 feet away, was this behind glass or was it you rolled the window down?
No, I
Were you,
was on foot.
Wow, no fear, no fear from small Asian man. You got more balls than I do. I wouldn't. Yeah, I would like. I'd be scared if I was inside the car. Wow. And then, okay, then let's leave the audience with this. Uh,
Okay.
why I wrote this down. Maybe I saw it on your page, but I wrote favorite books. Was that something that was like on your page? Okay, so why don't you tell us,
Yeah,
maybe leave a list of your favorite books, and we'll leave the audience with that.
I love reading. I think reading is something that is really, really important for everyone to do, right?
Hmm.
So, this is a book that everybody knows, The Alchemist.
I've
That's
heard of it.
something.
I've been recommended. I'm not really sure what it's about. Yeah.
You should read it. I won't tell you
Okay.
what it is.
All right.
And then another book, which is very random, is The Brain That Changes Itself.
Okay. Alchemist, the
It's
brain that changes itself. Okay.
and The Last Lecture.
The last lecture. All three books that I don't have, so I mean I'm gonna put those on my to read list. And well, thank you. I'm already rolling the end credits. We'll let them roll for like 10 more seconds, and I'll hit stop on the record.
Cat tap, mat
Awesome.
sat, black hat.
Thank you for having us. I'll put all the links so you can follow
Just
Go
click
Green Dress. All right, guys.
subscribe.
Thanks for being here, T. Really appreciate your time.